for tuning in to the Rotting Eyes podcast, where we rot our eyeballs so you don't have to. My name is Kaisa,
My name is Megan.
And I'm Kat.
and this week we watched Roman Holiday from 1953 and How to Steal a Million from 1966.
So Roman Holiday, I think it takes place the same year that it was made, but I think it did.
I assume so. They don't give you any indication that it would be otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. So it stars Audrey Hepburn as a princess, and she kind of feels very, she feels like she has a little bit too much responsibility. It's a very stressful job for her. So she decides one day on her last European tour to just run away for the day in Rome, and then she accidentally runs into a journalist. And he realizes who she is, and he kind of tries to get a scoop on her, like without telling her that he knows who she is. But throughout the day, they spend the day together, and then they slowly start to fall in love. So it is a romance movie, very sweet. And then How to Steal a Million is not quite the same. I think it's directed by this. It's the same director. But How to Steal a Million is about Audrey Hepburn's character, who is the daughter of kind of a wealthy art. I think he was an art collector, or well, he was an art. Well, he's described to be like an art collector, but he's like an art forger, and he sells fake art. And then so one day they end up getting into trouble because they sell this very expensive statue to a museum, and then they realize that the statue is about to be tested to see if it's real or not. So to try to get the dad to not go to jail, she comes up with this plan to steal the statue back from the museum. So that is this short description about both movies. Very different from each other, but both directed. It's directed by the same person and stars Audrey Hepburn.
William Wyler is the director of both of them. They're both romance. Not Roman Holiday. How to Steal a Million is a little bit more of a rom-com than Roman Holiday. Because I feel like it has a few more comedic elements. I think they're both rom-coms in a sense, but you just feel it more with How to Steal a Million.
Yeah, but I also think How to Steal a Million is, I mean, it's a completely different genre. Just like I think Roman Holiday is just like, it's kind of like straight up just a romance. It actually reminded me a lot of like it reminded me of like other romance movies that have come after it. So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Before Sunset or Before Sunrise. So
I have not.
okay, but have you heard of it?
No, I have
Okay.
not.
Well, it came out I think it came out in 95. But it kind of has a similar premise where it's like two people, they like meet each other, and like one of them is American, one of them is she's French, and they meet each other in like I think in Vienna, and then they just spend like the whole day together, and like they fall in love, like during the time they spend together. And I think like there's a lot of movies that are kind of have a similar setup to it, and that's like when I saw Roman Holiday, like I didn't realize. I was like, oh, this is a very similar premise. But I mean, I really enjoy premises like that. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
ideal.
don't.
I want
Maybe
that.
I'm somewhat uneducated on like the royal romance genre, but I wonder if this was one of the earliest kind of depictions of that or not. I'm not sure, but it seems like there have been a lot of like modern kind of trending royal falls in love with a
commoner.
commoner
Yeah.
type thing
Yeah.
that has been
And it's real
just
now.
around.
Yeah, that is true.
Like
Yeah, you're right. Like
exactly. It's like a whole Hallmark genre of romance movie,
yeah,
and but not even just that. You have to some extent like Princess Diaries
yeah. I was
too.
just literally just thinking
Even though
that.
he is a nobleman, he's not a commoner,
Yeah,
but still.
but even in the first one,
And like The Prince and Me, that's another example.
hmm
It's just it seems like it like it's kind of this whole fantasy that people have, just falling in love with a royal
a royal
person.
person. Yeah, definitely.
That's my goal.
But I know, like I know, like she wasn't in this movie, but she was kind of like an older actress, Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly, like she kind of was like famous around the same time Audrey Hepburn was, but she was somebody who was like she was like an American actress, but she married into royalty. I think. Like I think I
Yeah,
forgot.
she became the Princess of Monaco.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so she was kind of like a regular, like I mean not a regular person, but she was a celebrity, but like still she married
She's
into.
really that a real life version of that kind of happening.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but like yeah, that but like kind of switched. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, and then How to Steal a Million though, like I know you said that there's definitely more comedic aspects to How to Steal a Million, but How to Steal a Million is very much like a crime movie, like a crime heist movie.
It's crime, but it's still a comedic take on it, and I think it does comedy a lot different, or at least a little more subtle, which we'll get into later. But I definitely wrote down a couple of quotes and notes from things that happened in the movie that I noticed that are just um, it's not like that over the top slapstick comedy.
Mhm.
It's more like it's just kind of like stuck in there a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
It's the more subtle style
Yeah,
that
I
was more
think
common back then.
Yeah, I think a lot of comedy I feel like was very common for comedy at that time, like very very subtly done. Like I know in Roman Holiday there was like some gags that they did and it wasn't super common, but there was one where he's like you know how she like so in the movie she gets drugged by her doctor because they're like oh she's like in hysterics, we have to we have to drug her to go to sleep.
He
But
gives
then
her
she runs away.
ketamine.
Yeah. So like but then she's like she runs away and then she doesn't realize the effect that it's going to have. So this guy Gregory, I think the actor's name is Gregory Peck.
Gregory Peck.
Right. He takes her home because or else she would just like sleep on the street and he doesn't want to leave her there. So he's trying to take her up the stairs to like his apartment. But like as he's walking, he's like holding her hand, but she goes the wrong way. So he goes up the steps but she goes like, she's still like, she doesn't follow him. I don't know, like that gag of them like going
Yeah,
up.
it's like a spiral
Yeah.
staircase, and she starts walking around the staircase instead of
Up.
on it.
Yeah. And I thought that was like, I thought that was pretty
I
funny. I was like,
loved
it's a
that. I thought that was
Yeah.
really funny.
hilarious.
It was like adorable.
Yeah, I know. I thought a really good, like very subtle gag, you know, nothing too funny, but I was like, that's pretty funny that they put that in there. And I think that's pretty common for a lot of older
Yeah,
movies.
and that's definitely something I really appreciate about older comedies is that a little more subtle approach, because I feel like at least nowadays there's just so many over the top physical comedies and slapstick comedies. It's just a little too in your face
A little too wacky
about it, and sometimes I just need to not watch that.
Yeah, especially for the rom-com genre particularly, which I think Roman Holiday falls into that. You know, and it's definitely much less subtle, like much more subtle when it comes to its comedy than its romance, I think. But there was a couple like good, I don't know if they're gags, but there'd just be scenes where like the scene where he's trying to move her from the bed and he just grabs, what does he grab? Like the mattress or something, and he just like flips her
Yeah.
onto the couch. I was like, that's really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a mood, honestly.
And then she thanked him for letting her sleep on the bed.
And he's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh yes, no problem.
Yeah.
He was kind of an asshole.
Oh,
He was
he was
kind of like,
awful.
I mean, he was like,
He
know,
was a little bit
yeah,
of an asshole, but you can see him kind of come down from that pedestal a little bit as they get to know each other and as they're like falling in love on this adventure. But one of the things that I liked about this is it's like an insta love without being an insta love, if that makes any sense. Because you watch a lot of romance movies and it's like they brush shoulders and oh my god, love at first sight. You know,
That's actually how I felt about How to Steal a Million. That's what that felt like to me.
a little bit, but it doesn't bug me as much with How to Steal a Million, and we'll get into that. I'm talking more specifically like YA,
Right.
kind of a little more modern stuff.
Right. We can't, we got to skip over all of the like introduction thing. You see somebody and you go, that's the one.
Yeah. Here it's like they don't know each other and they don't pretend to instantly be in love with each other. It's like it's a little more gradual throughout the day.
I think that has to do with the fact that in the movie though they're like hiding themselves from each other. Like so when they first introduce themselves to each other, like he clearly knows who she is, but he doesn't want to. He's pretending to not know who she is, and she's giving him a fake name and trying to make sure that he doesn't figure out who she is. And so they're both kind of lying to each other and they're kind of trying to hide, because they're both, I think he's trying to get something out of her in the beginning. So I think that's why like it's very obvious that like when he first meets her, he's like, oh, she's just this drunk girl, like like I don't want to like leave her on the street, but like when she wakes up, I just want out of my house, you know. So it's very obvious that like he wants something from her, and then she's not looking for romance. She's just looking, you know, to have a fun day in Rome because she doesn't have any freedoms. You know, she has a lot of responsibilities as a princess, so she's just looking for a fun day out. And it's yeah, it's nice to see like a kind of slow romance happen between two people who like they you know they don't really think that much of each other in the beginning, and it's nice to kind of see that grow from there. So
They're not looking for love, neither one of them. So it feels a lot more natural as it, you know, gradually happens, and it's not until like the third act of the movie when they finally kiss. I'll tell you, I'm gonna spoil the ending here because they have to go back to their own
We
lives, and
always
he has to
spoil
be a
the ending.
reporter. Yeah, I know. It's almost like a habit that we're just telling people that we're gonna spoil things. He has to go back to being a reporter. She has to go back to being a princess. And I remember like the first time I watched this movie when I was probably like 13, 14, and I was still a hopeless romantic.
You hadn't been jaded.
And it's just I remember like just feeling like my heart had been ripped out of my chest, just being like, why can't they be together? Because like they, you know, they just, I don't know, they had a really good chemistry on screen, and it's very believable to me.
no, I agree. I remember the ending, like when it got to the end, I was like, you know, there's only two ways it can really go because she has responsibilities. So I was like, they're either gonna get together or they're gonna never see each other again.
Yes.
And I was like, I wonder which way this movie's gonna go. And then it turned like it up until the very end, like even at the end, I was kind of like expecting her because like in the end of the movie, obviously they have like she goes back and they have a press conference and they're like making eyes at each other, and you don't know if she's just gonna like she's just gonna start making out with him, you know, just like forget everything, let's make out in front of everybody, it doesn't matter. Like you honestly don't know like if that's gonna happen like until the very very end, you know what I mean? Even when she's gone, like they look at each other and she turns away and she leaves, and he like kind of pauses and waits for her a little bit, and then he starts to walk out. Even like to the last moment you think that there's a
You
chance
kind
that
of
they
want
could
her
get
to
together.
run out and then have him,
Mm-hmm.
like, them just, like, have this sweeping Romeo and Juliet kiss,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna happen. It can't happen.
Yeah, it never
Um,
It's
happens.
a
yeah.
bittersweet ending, I think.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I think it was also kind of a nice take on, where the guy kind of tries to get the girl for a sort of, like, nefarious reason, um, but warms up to her over time, and it and becomes not nefarious. I think, like if you think about 10 Things I Hate About You, right? Patrick is trying to get Julia Stiles for money, but then he actually falls in love with her.
Yeah, I was so
And I
worried.
think this was just kind of in that genre, but it was also a very nice take on it, where I think he is redeemable for his actions. Sometimes you don't always get that.
Yeah. Kat, what were you gonna
Oh,
say?
I was so worried he was just going to be an awful person the whole time,
Hmm.
and we were just supposed
Yeah.
to side with
Like
him.
him.
Yeah. Yeah, and his friend, you're definitely worried that he's gonna like sell the pictures and make it like a whole thing, but he doesn't. He gives her the pictures of her adventure so she can remember it, and it like it kind of touches your heart a little bit. 'Cause it's like, "Oh,
In the end, they realize she's a person.
yeah."
They're like, we can't sell the story, but like I think it's because like he's like I'm in love with her. Like I can't do this to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Gregory Peck does kind of convince his friend not to do it when like they're together in the apartment,
He's
and
spilling
and
stuff
he brings the
everywhere.
pictures over. Yeah, that was kind of a funny gag too.
And we did talk about this beforehand, but the lighter camera that the guy had, that was I was like, oh my
That
god,
was
that's so
cool.
cool. I was like, I've never seen that in my life. I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, that's
But
like
I want to
one of
get
the
one of those.
coolest not sky spy gadgets,
Sky Badgets.
like
Sky badgets?
sky badgets that we've ever seen. I don't know that it. You know when you're a kid and there's all those like spy toys that were really
I
popular
loved
in the early
those.
2000s. I wonder if they still are, but it seems like something that I would have loved to have as a kid.
Oh, for sure. But that's a great like if you're like a photographer or whatever, like that's your job and you need to take secret pictures. I was like that's so smart. You can't just have a camera and be like, but like the fact that they had lighter cameras back in the 50s, I was like, "Whoa, that seems like a modern thing." And like this was another note that I had where the photographer, he looked very modern. Like cuz he had a really big
Yes.
beard. Right? And I was like, you never
Yeah,
see
he looks like
guys
a
with
hipster.
beards. Yeah, I was like, he doesn't look like a normal like like guy from the 50s, like very clean shaven. He just had a big beard and I was like, that guy could be like in a 2000s movie. I was like, it was really surprising to see that in a 50s
I feel
movie.
like it's also kind of a testament to like hipsters today, kind of reviving 60s and 50s style.
Yeah, for sure. And like I know a lot of hipsters are into photography, so
The funny thing about the camera, he said it seemed like a modern thing.
mhm.
Um, Actually, microfilm was a big part of World War II, intelligence gathering.
Oh, really?
So it's literally
Yeah.
just like tiny film, and I mean there were satellites and people with like pen cameras and stuff.
Oh, shit, that's cool.
It was
Interesting.
amazing.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah, because like when he
I wonder if they've got stuff like that at the Spy Museum in
Oh, I'm
DC.
sure they
Oh my
do.
God. Yeah.
We got
We
to
should
take a field
we
trip.
gotta we gotta check we gotta check it out one of these
Let's
days.
go.
There were some things that reminded me of some like certain movies. I already said this before, like before Sunrise. Like there was a in the Roman Holiday, there was that like that movie reminded me of this. And then there were certain things where it was like the ending of the movie. Oh, we were talking about the ending of the movie, but the ending kind of reminded me of La La Land because I don't know if you guys kind of where like the ending is
A little bit, but I feel like it was less dramatic than La La Land. Because La La Land, it's in the future, and then you find out that she's gone off and married somebody else. Here, it's like you're watching the breaking apart of them.
but yeah, I didn't feel like it was necessarily the same thing. I felt like where it was just like you expected them to be together and then they weren't, and like, oh man. And really, but I love the ending of La La Land, and this ending I really liked it a lot. It was very bittersweet. But I personally I love bittersweet endings, so I really enjoyed that ending in this one.
Yeah, I agree on the bittersweet note. I don't like the ending of La La Land, but that's not the discussion for today, and we've already had this
We've
discussion
had this
privately.
discussion.
I do think that they do this ending a little bit better than La La Land because there is that part of you that is like, okay, well, they can't be together because she's a princess and she has to go back to her duties, and he's, not royalty. He's just a journalist. Um, so I think knowing that they can't really be together, that it's inevitable that they have to break up at some point. At the end, you're just like, oh well, this is sad, but
It is what it is.
it's to be expected.
Yeah, I definitely get that. And it's like I like that they had that moment, like I think I said before, but like that moment of like last minute anticipation, like you really, really don't know what's going to happen. And then they just kind of leave you where it's just like, well, they're not going to get together. And that's just how it is. So, and I like that a lot.
And I do think that him being able to go to that interview at the very end, that press conference, it gives you a nice sense of closure.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. I'm happy that she got her photos. She was able to have this memory, this really like
Yeah.
fun day. You know what I mean? And she's able to keep that with her forever. And I think that's awesome. Cherish your memories, you guys. But there was
That's
other
why I take
scenes.
pictures.
Yeah, that's why I feel it weird when people are just like, oh, like why are you taking photos? And I'm like, photos are so fun. Like when you take them, you look back and you're like, that was a good time. So yeah, pictures are super important.
Yeah, and I also want to like promote that you should take pictures of the things you're looking at, not just like taking selfies in an art museum.
Do
Yeah.
that too, though.
That's
Do
really
that too.
frustrating when I see people taking selfies in museums and whatnot because it's like I don't care. I don't care about your selfies. I'm sorry.
Well,
I just
maybe
don't
they
care
do.
about you. I care about the things that you're looking at.
They're Kaisa. They're feeling themselves. Let them take pictures of.
No,
I
no,
have a story.
no.
This one time I was at the art museum. I saw this couple. They were like sitting on this couch and they were like, it was funny because they were just like sitting there like taking photos of themselves like this. And like And I was just like, girl, I was like, there's a painting right in front of you. Like, why are you taking this selfie like sitting on this couch? You could be taking the selfie with the painting. You know what I mean? I was like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to take photos with the painting, I get that. But if you're at the art museum, take a selfie with the painting. I think that's kind of cool.
Take whatever pictures you
I
want.
don't want to see people in art museums. I just want to see the stuff in art museums.
Yeah, but pictures are for yourself. Do what makes you happy. Because sometimes, like I know I went to France last year, and like I went by myself, and I took a lot of photos. But when I got back, I realized I didn't take any photos of myself. Like, yeah, I never asked anybody to take photos of me when I was like at certain places. And I remember looking at the photos, and I was like, man, I really should have done that. You know what I mean? Where I was like of me like at a location, so I like later I could look back.
I feel like there is a difference of taking a picture of yourself at some place versus taking a selfie. You know, it's like in the movie when she puts her hand inside
Yeah,
the face and he takes a picture of her doing that. Like that's fun. You know, it shows you having an adventure
yeah.
um somewhere and you're doing something cool. You're not just like taking a picture of your face.
But if she had a
Right.
camera, if she had our technology, she after her haircut, she would have taken a selfie.
Yeah.
She would
Oh
have.
yeah, that
She would have
haircut
taken a
scene.
selfie. That is
I
true.
love that haircut scene. And I feel like anybody can relate to that if they've ever had long hair and cut it off. You know the feeling of having a hairdresser being like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Or
Because like your
literally
hair is
everybody. I'm
Oh,
like, I'm
yeah.
about to shave all my hair off, and they're like, wait, are you? But your hair is so nice. Do you really want to?
Wait,
Yeah.
do you really
Yes.
want to do that?
Yeah, because like every time I've done it, it's like, "Are you sure this is such a drastic change?" It's like it's just hair. Just cut it off. I've had long hair so many times in my life and chopped it off so many times because I like never go get my hair cut except for like every 3 years. It's just a thing that people do.
But have you guys ever had haircuts? It was funny because I was expecting her
Of
to
course
like
we've had
get a
haircuts.
haircut. No. I said haircuts where I hadn't finished yet, Kaisa. Have you guys? Because
Yeah.
I was expecting her to like get her haircut and then start like sobbing because I've had that happen to me where I was like, "Want a haircut?" And I was like, they were like, "You really want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to do this. I really do." And then they cut my hair off, and I go, "Oh shit!" I was like, "This was a mistake."
I had that,
low key,
except
yeah.
delayed because I watched this movie and I saw her get that haircut, and I went, oh, I kind of kind of miss my hair.
I've had
I
that happen
kind of
to
had
me.
that happen once where I had my hair cut off and then it just wasn't a very good job of a haircut, but I didn't really like realize it right away. It took me a day to like sit with it and be like, hey, this guy didn't do that great of a job. But I've never like regretted chopping all my hair off.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. It's just like there's moments where like it's the same thing where like not immediately when it happens, but like when I cut my hair short. And I love short hair, like I think short hair looks great. But I've had moments where I cut my hair really short and I'm like, this is great. This is what I wanted. And then I leave and I look at it, I'm like, is this really what I wanted? But then it's hair, so you get used to it. It's not a big deal, unless it looks horrendous, but I've never had super horrendous hair. That was my that was on my own. That was on my own volition. So but yeah, her haircut looked really cute. I thought her hair looked really cute before, like her long hair, and I was really surprised that she cut it all off. But I was like, that's a really freeing experience. Just
It
like
is.
being like, you know what, I just want to change, and I'm just gonna cut all my hair off, and and be whoever I want to be. So I think that's really cool that happened. So I love that scene. And the barber was super. I don't know. The barber was super cute. He was like in like a nice
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
like Europe when you go to Europe and you meet some like random stranger and you're like that was a nice man. But yeah.
Yeah, all those times I've
He,
been to
he was
Europe.
just really sweet. Oh, and when
like you're
they're
traveling.
dancing and he like takes his comb out and he parts her bangs because he just wants to play with the haircut a little bit. I was like, oh my god, that's adorable.
Yes.
Wait, I made a note
love
of that
that.
because her hair just moved. It was like I was like, this was fake. I was like, it's fake because like her hair was just like just in front of her face, and then he parted it, and it was so perfect, like so perfectly like on the side. I was like, that's
It's
fake.
movie
That's
magic,
hair
Megan.
gel. Yeah. I was like, there's
He's
no
just
way
that
that's
good.
possible. He's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He really has magic hands. That's the type of
The
barbers we need
magic
in our
touch.
lives. Yeah, if you don't have a barber like that in your life, I think you need to reevaluate who you're going to
Yeah, get a
haircut.
new one.
Yeah.
Go to Rome.
I've been to Rome.
Have you?
Yeah, in 2003.
Ooh, do you
Uh,
2003? How old
we
are
took
you?
like a family vacation because I was 6.
Do you remember much of it?
I remember a surprising amount for a 6-year-old. But it was like a family trip because it was my parents' 10th anniversary, and they'd had their honeymoon in Rome.
Aw.
So it was a nice thing. And but one of the things that I remember so distinctly was being terrified of Mount Vesuvius because we went to Pompeii and it kept making like rumbling sounds, and I thought we were all gonna die.
Of course. The thoughts of a very
Um,
bright 6-year-old.
yeah. Yeah.
Kaisa
I
was a
also
very bright
remember being
6-year-old.
introduced to Happy Hippos, and my sister and I were just like obsessed. And to this day, I still love Happy Hippos. They're
Yeah.
amazing. It's like a Kinder brand chocolate that's like a wafer, and it's got like this cream filling,
They
and
are
it's like
good.
chocolate. They also have a hazelnut flavor. Highly recommend if you can get your hands on some Happy Hippos, get them.
The hazelnut, I would highly recommend it.
A lot of the sets were really cool. I didn't know I don't know if they were like real locations.
It wasn't a set; it was actually on location in
Yeah,
Rome.
okay.
They said at the very beginning in the opening
Oh,
credits,
in the credits? Oh,
filmed
okay.
on location in
Oh,
Rome, Italy.
but like yeah, because there were scenes like not necessarily the location, but like the palace that she's in. Like there'd be really cool shots where the scene when she's running out, and there's like this really long shot of her where she's like really tiny, and then see the entire like palace that she's staying in, and I was like, wow, that's a really cool building. And I don't know like where I don't know if that was like a set or that was like on that was I mean they said it was on location.
No, everything was on location.
It was actually CGI. They CGI'd that castle.
She was just in a green screen the whole time. That's crazy. But that was a great.
Yeah, I know Kat mentioned this, that it's very HD,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
for a movie in the 50s. And you can really tell you watch it and it's like the interior of the embassy is like opulent.
Yeah, it looks.
They must have
And,
redigitized that recently because it
I think
is
so.
amazing.
Yeah, they must have. But like all the detail you can see, it's like I feel like it's a very beautiful depiction of Rome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This, it was in higher quality than the movie from the 60s.
How to Steal a Million.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
it was
like
in significantly higher quality.
I feel like part of that comes from the colorization of the 60s because that might take away some of the detail if they go back in and kind of shade over with color.
yeah,
Right.
that is true. There was like some things like when she lost the shoe in the beginning of the movie. I was like, that reminded me a little bit of Cinderella. And then she has like a Cinderella reference like halfway through, and I was like, oh, maybe they really were referencing that in the beginning.
They absolutely
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Like Cinderella has this one night to fall in love with the prince, and she has this one day to fall in love with the reporter. So it's kind of like a reverse
Cinderella
Cinderella.
moment. Yeah, I was like, I forgot what the Cinderella reference was, but yeah, that was what it was. Where she was like, I have a day, and then she's like, my carriage turns into a pumpkin. So, I was like, that's cool.
She actually said her carriage turns into a slipper and she rides off in a pumpkin or something
Oh
like
really?
that. She said it wrong.
Or she turns into a pumpkin.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't remember the exact words that she said, but
And then there was like another. I don't know. It reminded me a little. There was like in the very beginning, it reminded me a little bit of Titanic, like the setup between the characters, where it's like you had this very kind of rich woman, and then the guy was just kind of like just this regular guy who had like a trade, and then like even the intro to his character, to Gregory Peck's character, is like you guys have seen Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
like the introduction to his character is him like playing poker, and that's exactly like how Leonardo DiCaprio's character is introduced in Titanic. And I was like, that's like because she's like in Titanic, she's like the switch girl who's trying to escape her life. So like I remember the beef Roman holiday reminded me of a little bit of Titanic. So I was like, that's cool. Like there's like certain things I was like, oh, like that reminds me of this movie, reminds me of that movie. But obviously this movie came before all those movies, so I don't know how much influence it had on different movies.
yeah, it'd be interesting to look at the influence that it's had on modern movies.
Yeah, especially romance in particular. So
I was actually
Yeah,
thinking about that as I was watching the movie. Everything I saw that like I recognized as a trope, I was like how early is this in that trope creation?
yeah, like did this movie like start any tropes or was it like following tropes? That's a good question. I feel like that's something I would want to look up.
I would like to point out with the poker scene that Italian lira, awful. The
what?
the 1,000 lira note is like this big. It's huge. He folds it over and
Yeah,
then throws it in.
it's like a half
It's
page.
massive. And then the 500 is like a receipt tape. It's
Yeah.
I don't understand. Who thought this was a good idea for currency?
I don't know, the Italian government, I
Yeah.
suppose.
This movie was really Italian.
Very,
There were
very
scenes.
Italian.
I was like, there's scenes that I'm just like, they remind me of like scenes from like The Godfather. Just like there's that guy, the guy who's like, okay, so the scene that I thought was really funny was the scene where he calls the landlord, where he's just like, oh, there's check if there's somebody in my room, and the landlord's like, oh, okay, there's somebody in your room, like a lady friend, and then he's like all like he's like yeah, and then like and he goes he's like listening, he's like what he wants him to do. He's like, a gun? Like, you want me to like hold her hostage? Like, what the fuck? And I thought that scene, like that whole transition scene of him being like, what the fuck? That was really funny. But this he's like standing in front of her door with the gun and all the kids are there. I was like, that reminded me of like a scene from like The Godfather, where I'm just like, I don't know if this is just really Italian or not. Like just like him standing outside with like a gun. I don't know. It reminded me of like The Godfather.
I feel like it is just very Italian. Like, there's the part where when she first leaves Gregory Peck's apartment and she's going through the markets and he's kind of like keeping an eye on her and following behind. And you see all the vendors like shouting like to sell melons, or like the lady who sold her a pair of shoes. And I feel like that's a very not even just Italian, just a very European, like street market
Very European
kind of
experience.
Yeah. I feel like that's an experience that not like that's very European, and I also feel like like, definitely a lot of Asian countries that do that too. I feel like just anywhere that's not like in America, like a lot of like
Yeah, the closest thing you get in America is like a farmer's market, but a farmer's market I feel like just has a very different feel. Like, you don't have people shouting out to you necessarily, being like, come buy these
Shoving
shoes, come
things
buy
in
these
your
melons.
hands and then
You know,
asking
everybody's
for
kind of
payment.
a little more like quiet. They might be like, oh, you want to try a sample if you walk directly past their booth, but they're not like shouting at you necessarily.
That's a very American thing, where they're kind of just like, they'll just leave you alone to do your own shopping. But like in other countries where it's like in Asia and Europe and like South America, like where you're out in a market, they're just like, like you said, like they're just shoving things. You're like, oh, you like this? This is $30, and you're like, oh, well, I don't actually have any money. I'm so sorry.
I would like to point out that she bought shoes and gelato and still had money left over. Out of a
She had like $1.
She had 500 lira, which he said was about $1.50, and she still had change.
I was so confused how she was able to buy shoes, because he said, she's like, how much is this? She's like, it's like $1.50. And I was like, how did she buy shoes and ice cream and one flower? Like, how did she have that much money? Like, that's crazy.
I think it would be interesting to look at the costs of those items at that time period, like in Italy. Like, what was the average cost of a pair of sandals? And like, I'd imagine like a gelato is like a nickel or something like that. But and
now
just
it's
see like
not.
how realistic was it that she was able to buy all this stuff and have money, and then not have enough money for a bouquet of roses.
Right. Well, he did want 1,000 lira for the roses.
Yeah, which
is
$3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot for that time period.
Yeah, but I mean, gelato now would be like $3, which is like, it's funny watching it then, and I'm like, she had $1.50 and she could buy gelato with that. I'm like, that's crazy. That's like $4 right there. But yeah, I mean, currency.
$1.50 in 1953 money is $14.48 now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's like a $29 bouquet of flowers.
So he gave her $15 and she bought like a $10 pair of shoes and a $4 gelato.
Oh my god, so it makes sense then. She's like, she had $1 left, so she could buy one flower from this guy.
Well, he just gave
I mean, he gave it to her, but I mean, it probably would have cost
he had a
$1.
little bit of sympathy.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have any money.
Yeah.
But
which happens. Yeah, even like the Italian, we were saying that this is very Italian, like even the Italian mafia guys at the end, when they're at the dance and they're like coming after her, I was like, oh shit, this is just like,
I don't think they were Italian mafia.
What were
they
they?
were just,
they reminded me of
they
the
were
mafia.
Secret Service from her unnamed country. They never name her country in the movie.
Yeah, no, they don't.
It's a European country where
with an English
they
accent.
speak English.
They speak with a British accent, yeah. But it's not England.
Probably.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, it's easier to do that. Like in
Mhm.
Princess Diaries, it's like a country, so it's just
Yeah.
easier
But at
to
least they
figure.
say the
Genovia.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the name of the country I don't think is super conducive to the plot in this movie, so it didn't really matter that they didn't give the country a name. Is I think the point is that she's a princess, he's a journalist. Leave it at that. We don't need to go into specifics. But they do give his newspaper a name, so it's like if you're gonna give his newspaper a name, give her a country name. Like
I mean, newspaper name doesn't really matter though.
As a fan of world building, I was offended that they gave me no information about her country.
Where she's from. Yeah, that is
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Because I feel like it would have been that, whereas like you say it, and they're like, oh my god, like we have to come up with all this. We have to come up with all this stuff for this country, like, and then we're like, you know what, forget it. Like that doesn't really, it doesn't really matter. Like if we put a name of the country, then we're gonna have to come up with all these things, and it's like it doesn't really matter, you know.
They came up with a crest for it because it was on the airplane when they flew in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I think they wanted
No flag though.
to leave it up to our imagination. I think.
I feel like the flag is the most basic thing you can come up with for a
Yeah.
country.
Maybe they just vetoed all the flags.
No flags.
They were like, none of these flags are good.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna have
We don't
one.
have a flag.
Oh my god,
We actually don't have a name either.
that'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. You know what?
Like they developed the script, they get to filming, and it's like, oh shit, we don't have a name for the country or a flag.
Yeah.
But we got a crest.
Lovely.
And we got a royal family.
I wonder if they did have a name and they just cut it out. They might have. They might have just filmed it and they just cut out like what the name was, you know. So I don't know.
I think they just didn't care.
Yeah. You guys, I wrote
Just
down.
didn't put that much effort into it.
Yeah. I wrote down combing the bangs! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Fake! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! We already talked about this, but man, that
true,
was
though.
fake. Oh, but I love that. You know, her bangs were very cute.
Oh yeah, I want to go back to the barber because I just noticed I wrote this hair comb before joining the fight, like how they have the brawl and then he just like takes out his comb and then goes and jumps in.
So talented.
Just gotta make sure the
Yeah.
hair is in check before it
I
gets all
love that.
messed
I
up.
love that.
It's very
I
important.
love fight scenes where just everybody's like, fuck it, and they just get involved. Oh my god. Another thing that I love, I don't know if this is like super European, like I feel like it is, but like everybody starts fighting and then the musicians are like, well, and then they just continue playing music while people are fighting. I'm like, I freaking love that.
Yeah, it's like the Titanic where they're like playing music as
I
the
was just
ship
about to
is
say,
going
I was
down.
like, they don't give a shit. They're just like, well, what are we getting paid for? So let's just play this music during complete chaos.
That is one of my favorite
me too.
tropes, where the band continues to play through the brawl.
Yeah. The show must go on.
Yeah. I love brawls though where there's everybody's like and everybody's just like fuck it and they just jump in and get involved. I love that. But I think we should talk about How to Steal a Million a little bit. Shift over. Yeah. I personally liked How to Steal a Million a little bit more than I liked Roman Holiday. I thought they were both great movies, but I think How to Steal a Million was I mean, I love heist movies and it was just there was like things I was like this is such a fun movie. I really enjoy this.
But one thing I want to note is it's very interesting to see like a contrast in Audrey Hepburn's acting. It's not a huge contrast, but you can see the development because Roman Holiday is very early Audrey Hepburn.
Right.
Like she was just getting into the acting and just coming onto the scene. And if you notice in the opening credits of Roman Holiday, it's introducing Audrey Hepburn.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
here it's 13 years later, and you can see a lot of development in her acting and where she's come from, essentially.
Yeah, for sure. I was like looking at the dates and it was like I think she was like almost 40 in How to Steal a Million, but she had done it like a couple years after Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is like her most famous film, you know.
She was
So, yeah, I
40 in that
definitely agree.
movie?
She was almost. She was like 30.
Oh,
I looked
wow.
up. I think she was 37 in How to Steal a Million, but she was like 24 in Roman Holiday. I think
Huh.
like early 20s. Yeah, but she looked. I mean, she did look younger in Roman Holiday.
She
but
was
her,
born in 1929.
Yeah, and there was a good
So she was,
year.
24 in Roman Holiday.
At least when it came out.
37.
Yeah, but you could tell she was very young in Roman Holiday. But she had so much, like her energy was, I mean, I get why she was, you know, she was such a famous actress like back in the day. She has so much energy and like charisma, you know what I mean? Just like this, she's just so captivating to watch on screen, especially like even in Roman Holiday, it was probably one of her first movies. And you could tell that there was something very special about her. So yeah. And you can tell in How to Steal a Million, she's the same thing, even though she's, you know, you can tell her acting is much much better because it was like over a decade later, but she, same where she has so much. There's something about her that you just want to watch her when she's on screen.
Also, she's beautiful.
She's
So.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's gorgeous and timeless.
Yeah.
One thing I'd love to point out about the opening credits of How to Steal a Million. So, this score of this movie was done by John Williams, the John Williams, who has
Really?
done Star Wars, Harry Potter, every iconic soundtrack that we know. This is very early John Williams. And in the opening credits, he's listed as Johnny Williams.
I
Which-
love that.
Amazing.
It's kind of adorable.
Oh my god.
And I love it. And I think it's just interesting to kind of listen to what early John Williams sounded like, which isn't a whole lot different from modern John Williams.
No.
But
Yeah.
you can see the budding stylization of his soundtracks, what marks an iconic John Williams score.
For sure. Like I didn't know that was him. I remember I made a note on the soundtrack where it wasn't like I don't really think it was a soundtrack, but there would be certain things where it's like he would have certain sounds when certain happened, like the boomerang. Whenever there's a scene where he gets a boomerang, every time he throws a boomerang, there's like this like sound, you know what I mean? Where it's like it's very obvious that like they play it every time he throws the boomerang, and then there's the sound with the diamond ring, where like every time you see it, it makes a sound. And I was like, oh, I noticed like there was like small things. Obviously it was John Williams' idea to put that in, but I was like, that's a really cool thing to add in,
Yeah.
just like as an extra characteristic.
Yeah, the sound design in this movie was really good. And I just love the score in general. It's just so good. I love that main theme that they play. I'm not gonna sing it this time. You can look it up yourself and then
I think
listen
you
to it.
should. Now that I think you should.
Look, I can't sing, so
Yeah.
and
Don't
yeah,
do
I'm
John
just
Williams
kinda
a
tone deaf.
Johnny Williams a disservice.
But,
yeah.
Johnny Williams.
I'm gonna call him that from
is
now
how
on.
I'm
His
going to
name is-
refer
I'm
to
sorry,
it.
Johnny Williams, but I'm not gonna sing this. I'm just gonna encourage our viewers to go look up the How to Steal a Million score and listen to the main theme because it's really pretty.
The good old Johnny
Williams.
So from here on out, every movie that we watch, if it is John Williams, he will be heretofore referred to as
Johnny.
Johnny Williams.
Yes, 100%.
Good friend
that's
Johnny.
amazing. I did not know that. The more you know.
The more you know.
No, you did it. You sang.
Yay!
Yeah, I sang, but that's the only singing you're gonna get out of me.
We're
this
gonna bleep it
episode.
out. Don't worry.
I'm going to cut it, yeah.
No, I want the world to hear it. That way they can know how bad I am at singing, so they never have to listen to me sing again.
You sang in the other videos. I've heard you. We're gonna.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna have a thing. We're on a compilation of us singing behind the scenes one of these days, guys. So keep listening. You guys will hear it one of these days. Just me and
This
Kai
is all
singing
getting
random
cut.
songs.
No, it's not.
No,
Kat,
just put
leave it
random
in. This
put
is
random
fun
words in.
stuff.
All right. Anyways.
Yeah.
So-
So talking about How to Steal a Million.
Yeah. So there's a thing that I loved in the beginning of the movie, just like a thing that you see and you never see it again. The secret wardrobe room.
Yes.
The room. I was
think you've
like, she
seen
was
it
like
a
walking,
couple
and
of
I was like,
times
she
in the
opens.
movie.
She's like calling her dad. She opens the wardrobe. I was like, is he in the wardrobe? And she just climbs in, and it's like a secret room. And I was like, that's so
Yeah, it's
cool.
it's like Narnia.
Yeah. Oh my god,
It's
I'm
Art
obsessed
Narnia.
with secret rooms. Yeah.
I wonder if that's where C.S. Lewis got his idea for Narnia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
to
he got
Steal
it from a
Million.
movie that was made significantly after his death.
You know what? Maybe he saw into the future.
Oh yeah, that's
You never
right.
know.
Never mind. I wonder if they got this idea from Narnia.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they got it because they were like, oh, secret room. I think that would be cool. And then they just added in because I fucking love secret rooms. I think they're so cool.
They're
I want a
great.
secret room.
Oh
They're
yeah.
amazing.
They're awesome.
I really loved the dynamic between Audrey and her dad in the movie. I just thought it was really cute, and the way they played off each other was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know that he's obviously scheming and like just selling these forgeries. Didn't they say that she worked for a museum? Like that's how she knew all these things, like how they tested statues and stuff. Didn't she like work for a museum? That was her job, right?
I don't know if they specify what her job was. I thought it was like she works, kind of for her father or just around art in general.
Yeah, but I
I
know
don't
she
know.
said she worked for an art place because like she was like in the beginning she's just like telling him, she's like, this is how they check if the statue is real because they can tell like the the date of the stone that was made and stuff like that. But yeah. I thought the relationship was cool because like she obviously knows that he's like a crook, but she's like, well, he's my dad and he's, I gotta protect him. So
It's a family business.
And I love the scene where she's like, she's like, you can't keep selling these fakes. And he's like, well, I'm not selling it to I'm not selling it to poor people. I'm selling it to rich people. It's okay. Like, I was like, damn.
You know, I completely
You know what?
understand.
Yeah, he said that, and I was like, I
agree
get
with
it.
his morals.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I get it. You know, they're not losing much. So, and they get a cool painting out of it. So
why not?
I get that. Yeah, why
And
not?
bragging rights.
But I love the scene. I didn't know you could read Hitchcock books. Did you guys know this?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Okay,
Yeah.
I did not know that. I love the scene where she's like reading the Hitchcock book, and then she hears like, because the guy broke into her house, and she starts hearing noises, and she's like, "What is that?" She's like, "What is going on?" Happens to me all the time.
Yeah, Simon
Yes.
Dermot.
Who is
Peter
the love
O'Toole.
interest?
They had great chemistry.
They did.
And I want to go back to the Insta love since I promised we would come back to that.
The what?
Is they
Oh,
they
yeah.
is it is a little bit of that love at first sight sort of a thing, but they don't really act upon it until later on when they're in the closet.
We've all been there.
But I think
Yeah,
I think it was more of an
when they have a little bit of that 7 minutes in heaven.
Right.
yeah.
So I feel like that's where I think they do the insta love sort of well, because it's not like immediately they meet each other and then they're making out. It's like they meet, there's an attraction, but they're not acting upon it right away.
Well, yeah, I don't think they really had a choice, because he was breaking into her house, and she did shoot him in the arm. So I was like, isn't that the ideal? Love at first. Yeah, I was like, isn't that the ideal way to meet a guy? Just like he breaks into your house and tries to steal your fake painting, and then you freak out and you shoot him in the arm, and then you feel bad, and then you gotta patch him up, and then you gotta take him home.
Intentionally shoot
yeah,
him.
on accident.
She puts the gun down, and the gun
goes
shoots
off.
him.
Yeah, but he still gets hit in the arm, and then she's got to take him back in his stolen car. And I was like, this is great.
And he's just pretending to be so wounded.
It's the other arm.
It's the other arm.
It's infected. It's spreading.
Yeah. I really liked her character. She was super like sarcastic. I really liked her character a lot. And she's like, yeah, like
Me too.
Your arm is hurt. Like, and she was like the iodine scene when she's like putting it on his arm. She's like, you're a baby. Like, grow up. I thought it was funny. But like then like they just start like they've met each other, and he's just trying to rob her, and she's just shot him, and then they're kissing in front of the taxi. And I was like, oh wow. All right.
And it kind of just it leaves her like what's the word, wistful. And then she's kind of in a daze, and she goes home, and she's just like wiping off the thing, the frame.
I mean, to be fair, I would be disoriented too.
Yeah, but the dad. There's a scene where the dad is like, he's like, nobody molested you, right? And then she just goes, not really. And I was like, ew. I was like, oh, okay. It did.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah. It is true.
And his eyebrow just like goes up.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same reaction that the viewer has watching.
Yeah, I was like, that was a very random kiss.
And then she calls him when she discovers that they are that she has to get the statue before they test it, and they find out that it's a fraud. And she meets him at the Ritz, and she's in this like all lace getup, and it's just like the most glamorous all black disguise I think anybody's ever done.
Yeah, it was amazing. That was great. She had like the mask over her eyes. I was like, I love that. I love like lace mask over the eye look. It's amazing. It's kind of a power move.
I do want to say, I think the premise for this movie, the like we need to do a heist because it's fake and we don't want anyone to know. Love it. I think that's amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
It's so
better way.
It's a really nice take on the heist.
Yeah.
Sort of genre.
And I thought this movie, in terms of its heist, I mean, it's a very simple kind of heist, but I thought it was there's things that I was like, that's so clever. You know what I mean?
It's just so clever.
Yeah, and it's so clever, and it's so like fun to watch, you know, because like it's always fun to watch heist scenes to see like exactly what they do. I love the scene when they're like in the closet together, and then he's like, well, we have to get this key because this one of the security guards has locked us into the closet, and then he just pulls out this huge magnet, and like it starts like he puts it against the wall and is like taking the key like on the other side of the wall, and I was like, man, if I had been, you imagine if a security guard was there and he just saw that, like just a flying key, I'd be like, oh shit, that's can you imagine? But that was hilarious. And then the scene where he like they get the key and they can't open it from the inside. So I got an idea, and he just starts like pulling things out of like his sleeves and stuff, and it's like a rope, and he pulls it through the lock. And he puts the key in. I was like, this is so ridiculous. I was watching this. I was like, this is so ridiculous, but this is so awesome. Like, I love this
Yeah.
so much.
That's like
yeah,
the
the
charm.
comedy is done so well in here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like and the quotes too. Like when he convinces her to dress as the cleaning lady, he's like, it will give Givenchy a night off, and Givenchy provided Audrey Hepburn in the movie. So it's just like this. It's kind of like breaking the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it self-aware.
Yeah.
I love that.
There's another thing where he's like, okay, you're the boss, just do as I tell you.
Yeah.
That was what I was gonna mention. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really funny. And when they're in the closet, he's like, it's the height of tourist season, everything was booked up, this was the best I could do.
Yeah, some of the writing was really, really clever,
Just so many great quotes.
Yeah. But I think that's common in old movies where they just have a lot of really great, like really clever comebacks, you know what I mean? Or just really clever things to say. I'm like, that's great. I love the writing a lot.
And this is just such a fun movie. Like, I've watched this movie so many times and it never fails to make me laugh and just enjoy the movie, really.
I think heist movies, the only way they work is if they're charming.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's
yeah.
the selling point of a heist movie.
Yeah, because I mean, you're essentially rooting for somebody who's, I guess, not really doing a great thing. So, like, how else are you gonna root for these characters if they're not, if they're not charming, or if they're not, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, they have to make you stand by the characters and the characters' actions, and the only way you're gonna do that is by making it charming and making these characters likable and all that. Because if you just make a character that is just a terrible human being, there's going to be no interest in watching that.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to kind of understand the motive of like whatever they're trying to steal. You have to really understand like where they're coming from, even if it's not like the best intentions or whatever. But like still, you still have to have an understanding of it. So yeah, I agree. I definitely think that
there's definitely that legit motive here. Like the stakes are real, and you can believe the stakes.
Yeah, because she didn't want to go to America. She was like, I'm not going to America, so I'm just going to steal this statue so I can stay in France.
And that's a move, honestly.
And that is a move. She's like, at the very end, she's like, you don't have to. She's like telling her dad's like, oh, I love the scene when like right after the police leave his house, he goes, Nicole, and like right after, and he's just like, oh my God, you're the greatest daughter. I don't know like what he says, but like it's so hilarious, like the way that he reacts to her stealing this statue for him. And then she's like, oh, this is the greatest day. You don't have to go to jail. I don't have to go to America. And I was like, honestly,
Yeah.
that's great. So funny. You have to really understand like where these characters are coming from, their motives. So, and she really is trying to do this because she was just like, I don't want my dad to go to jail, So
yeah, nobody wants their dad to go to jail unless like you hate your father.
Unless they have a legitimate reason for it,
Yeah,
so, but like selling fake art, like that's whatever. So people getting pretty art out of it, it's okay. I made these notes too, like things that there was like certain connections. So I made 2 notes. The first one was that Audrey Hepburn can't drive in either of the movies.
Yeah.
So in Roman Holiday, like she steals the bike, and then she's like he's trying to chase after
the
her.
Vespa.
Yeah, and she's just running over everybody, and she gets like arrested for it.
Well, you know what? I think she can drive in How to Steal a Million. I think when she's driving Peter O'Toole's car, she's driving it badly on purpose.
I was thinking that too. I was like,
that's what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's necessarily a bad driver in both, but she does drive in both.
She does.
And
yeah.
we didn't see her drive well once. So.
Actually no, in the beginning she does a fine parallel parking when she's listening to the radio.
Oh,
At
okay.
the beginning of How to Steal a Million.
Okay, yeah, so she does.
So.
Yeah, that is true.
So we'll
Once.
give her
We'll give her,
Give her 1 point.
we'll give her that 1 point. Yeah, I definitely think that
she'll get 1 gold star.
I definitely think that you were right. Like, you know, she's driving really badly, but you can tell, like, you would tell that she's just doing it to kind of scare him a little bit. So for
Yeah,
like robbing
to
her,
mess
yeah,
with
to
him.
like because he
And, like,
was robbing her.
Yeah, he told her it was a stolen car, so why does she, care about preserving this
Yeah.
car?
I liked her character a lot in that movie, though. I thought she was great.
Mhm. Yeah.
I liked her character in both movies. I thought she's such a sweet, you know, she's played such sweet characters. So, my other note though was, how she kind of it's kind of how you get men to do things for you when they fall in love with you. So, because
Mhm.
like in Roman Holiday, like he was gonna make like 1,000. He was gonna make what $5,000 off this interview with her and like with these pictures. And he's like, you know what? I love her too much. Like I can't do this to her. So he ends up giving up all of that. You know what I mean? He ends up losing money because he does this. You know, but just because like
That's like $45,000.
yeah, it's a lot of money. And then
Yeah.
he ends up giving that all of that up because he was like, you know what, I love her. She's a great woman. I can't do this to her. And then in How to Steal a Million, you learn that this guy wasn't even a robber. He was somebody who arrests art forgers, you know what I mean? Which is literally what her family is. So he ends up being like, well, I can't do that. I'm in love with her. Like I'm just gonna help her rob this museum and go against literally my job. So and I thought it was a common theme where it's like, well, she's able to get men to swap sides and do things because they're in love with her. And I was like, you know what? That's the power. That's the power move.
I do really like the part where she realizes that he did it because he loves her. Like
Mhm.
she asks him like, "Well, why'd you do this?" And he just like he kisses her. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's why. Explain it to me again."
Yeah.
And then they're just like making out in the closet.
Yeah, I was like,
Explain
that's
it to me
cheesy,
again.
but you know, that's Audrey Hepburn's power. Honestly, if I was a man in that situation, I would do the same thing.
If I were just in that situation.
If I was just in that situation in general, I'd be like, yeah, Audrey Hepburn.
Just be like, "Hey, Audrey, want to make out?"
I'd just be like, yeah, Audrey Hepburn, I'll rob a bank for you. Like I'll rob a museum for you. That seems like you know what? That's like the ultimate, like they didn't even rob a bank. I thought that's what they were gonna do in this movie. They robbed an art museum. And I was like, that's the ideal heist, honestly.
I really liked how they did it just by annoying the security guards by making the alarm go off. And then it makes such a ruckus that like the president
Genius.
of France calls.
Yeah.
That's social engineering.
He called it psychological. She's like, what are you doing? He called it he was like, I'm doing psychological warfare. So
Yeah.
I was like, genius. He's so
It was
smart.
just so perfect.
Yeah, I think I have one final note, and it's just kind of a random thing where they have a funeral, where the dad has a funeral for the statue. after it
Oh
gets
yeah.
stolen.
And there's like the black ribbon over where the statue was standing.
Yeah, I was like, this is, and then like the butler takes out his thing and starts like wiping his tears over like the statue funeral. I was like, this is too
Yeah,
much.
and the reporters are taking pictures, and the second the reporters leave is when they start like cheering
Yeah.
over like
He's
not
like-
having to go through with the inspection.
Yes.
He's like, Nicole, I don't know what it was about him screaming her name like to get downstairs to like celebrate. That was so funny. That was really
Uh-huh.
good.
Because he just
Yeah.
kept doing it.
He was like,
He
Nicole.
didn't stop.
Yeah.
It was too much. I love that. The wall of weapons, like when he breaks into that. So when the guy, like the main guy, breaks into her house and she's like, well, I gotta defend myself, and she looks and there's like a friggin' whole wall of weapons. She's like, let me just pick up this pistol.
Well, that's a thing rich people apparently have,
Yeah.
as walls with like fancy guns.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think it would be loaded, which is why it's such a shock when she puts it
Yeah.
down and
It goes-
shoots him.
Yeah.
I'm going to make another reference to one of my favorite movies, Ready or Not. She finds a gun on the wall and it's not loaded.
Oh yeah. It was funny because I was actually thinking of Pirates of the Caribbean. The scene when the pirates break into her house in the first movie and she tries to steal a sword off the wall, and then the sword is, she just realizes she comes off and then she realizes the sword is just decorative and she's like, "Oh shit." That's like what that reminded me of. But yeah, I love that. Just stealing weapons off the wall.
But one thing I'm curious about is I'm totally changing the subject
Mhm.
right now. Is if that's like an actual like house or manor in Paris.
How to Steal a
It
Million?
might be.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to go like see it and see if it's still standing.
Oh, for sure. That's what I was thinking about Roman Holiday too. If that was like a location that like we could go to, because that was really cool. Like that they shot the interior to Roman Holiday, the place that she was staying at. I was like, this looks so cool. Like I would love to go there.
Vacation.
Well, all signs point to it actually existing in Roman Holiday, I believe. So,
And How to Steal a Million was in France, right?
yes, it was in Paris.
Yeah, it was very funny because they all spoke English.
Yeah, yeah. And all of them had British accents except for like the security guards, who were the only French people in the movie.
I mean, it makes, I guess, yeah, because yeah, locals.
Yeah, and you had Charles Boyer in there too, so you can't ask him to get rid of his French accent.
Yeah, I love when movies though it it's very obvious that it's supposed to take place in another country, but they're all just English people. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I don't know if you guys have seen this is a modern day. This is a TV show. I don't know if you guys have seen Chernobyl.
I have
But
not.
Chernobyl takes place in Soviet Union, but like all the characters in that are very obviously like English, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
That's very obvious. But I think it's always funny when they do that.
When they use a British accent as a shortcut for foreign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Where it's like I was like, that's not a Soviet accent. That's a very English, it's a very English person. It's a very English actor that's playing this role right now. But I always think it's funny when that happens in movies. But I mean, I guess they want to cater to the English speaking audience because I mean everybody speaks English, so it's easier to understand.
Mustache was in this. Love him.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Love that guy.
And I love the part where he turns his mustache downwards to like
For
just
frowning.
look sad. There were other things like how he labels the box a gyro compass.
Yes.
To be like,
Fragile.
this is not a statue. This is a gyro compass.
It's a very sensitive electronic component. Please do not open the box.
Kat, what did you think about the technology in this movie?
The technology. Okay. So first of all, it's real. I mean, light detectors are a thing that have existed for a very long time. They're not cameras. They're electric eyes. So that's fine, and it's totally believable.
Is it believable that you could throw a boomerang and set off the
Yeah.
alarm and bamboozle people?
Well, it depends on the frequency,
Well,
yeah.
but it
I think
is
people- I mean,
possible.
they're
now-
like motion sensors, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
Basically.
if it's powerful enough, it'll
It's
sense
it's like
motion.
the garage door sensor. So like if you walk through it as it's closing, it stops. It's that same concept.
Okay.
So it's up in the air whether it could actually be set off by a fast moving boomerang.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, they have cameras now, so
Yeah.
I don't think that it's much of a. I mean, you can trick cameras though. That's what happens in other heist movies now. So
It's the same concept as every heist movie. It's just older.
Yeah, because like I was watching this and I was wondering, like, would this actually happen? Is this realistic? And I made a note to ask Kat about it.
The answer is yes.
I think it's definitely for that time. Yeah.
They wouldn't be blue lights though. That's strictly for the movie.
So what color would they be?
Infrared. You wouldn't be able to see them.
No color at all. Yeah, because you don't want to know people. You want people to know that it's there. Which is funny because like there's a scene when they're looking at the statue for the first time where they meet each other at the museum, and the guy there is just like, oh, let me tell you everything about our security for this
me tell
for
you how
this
this works."
statue. Yeah, let me tell you everything about how to steal this statue. And she's like, no, I think we should go. I
Well,
thought that was funny.
he's telling her about the security precautions because
It's
like she
hers.
technically owns the statue,
Yeah.
so he doesn't view it as like a risk that anybody would be interested in stealing it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think I really have anything else other than I really like these movies.
Yeah,
Me
they was
too.
great. I
So
enjoyed
much
them a lot.
fun.
Ratings.
Okay, well, How to Steal a Million, I'll do 5 out of 5. Roman Holiday, we'll say 5 out of 5. I don't really have any reason to dock any scores or stars. I mean,
Megan.
I would give them both a 4, just because I thought they were both really good movies, and there was I think there's a really great charm to watching older films. So I would give them both a 4. I think they were both really really great. What about you, Kat?
I think I would also give them both a 4. I really enjoyed them. Not my favorite, but I really, really enjoyed them.
Yeah, they were just fun. They were nice watches, I think. So yeah. But I would say, Kaisa, which movie do you like more?
Probably How to Steal a Million. I like more. I think it's just a more fun movie to watch. Doesn't mean I don't think Roman Holiday isn't fun. It's just How to Steal a Million is more fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think I
Agreed.
said this, yeah, I said this in our text. I was just like, I think How to Steal a Million, I think I like it more just because it's a crime movie and it's a heist movie, and those are always super fun to watch. You know what I mean? So, and Roman Holiday is very sweet, very charming, and I think they did the romance move in that movie better, but that's because that's more of a romance anyways. And then How to Steal a Million, it's just like a fun heist movie, and you don't really see, I don't know, like you don't really see movies that have heists involving women that much. Like I think back in that time, which is I was like I remember like hearing about it. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Audrey Hepburn in a heist movie." I was like, I didn't even realize that was a thing. So, that's
I think
cool.
even nowadays you don't see a lot of women in heist movies except for what was it,
Ocean's
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 8.
8.
11
Ocean's
remake
8.
or whatever?
Yeah.
Ocean's 8.
But even that was like a
Um
remake. So
It wasn't a remake. No, it was actually it's a prequel or
it's a
it's a
prequel,
sequel.
oh, it's a
sequels,
prequel.
yeah.
It's a
Okay.
Yeah.
sequel
Or sequel.
But
Okay.
because
yeah,
it's
But
Danny
even still,
Ocean's
when I heard
sister.
about
sister.
that movie, I didn't hear very good reviews about Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
So,
I just think,
I
when it
loved it.
comes Oh, did you?
you
I thought
did.
it
Yeah.
was all right. I
One
liked
of these days I'll get around to watching it,
Yeah.
but
I thought it was when I saw it, I thought it was all right. I didn't think it was necessarily bad. I didn't think it was like amazing though. But I think I kind of want to see heist movies if like you have female heist like a female group heist thing. I kind of want to see something like done on its own, just like an original like thing. You know what I mean? I think that'd be super fun. Like, like have you guys seen Hustlers?
Yes.
With
Loved it.
J Lo. Yeah, that was like that's not really a heist. I mean, it is kind of a heist movie. It's like a crime movie, but that was something that was super original and super fun. Like I really love that movie a lot. So I kind of want to see more like if we're doing like female like crime heist movies, something a little more, something more original. I think that'd be a cool thing instead of remake or like redoing something else. But like Ocean's 8 was fun. I enjoyed that movie a lot, and Rihanna looked great in that movie. So um,
I would like to point
Mhm.
out that the original Ocean's 11, starring the Rat Pack, came out 6 years before How to Steal a Million.
I was
So
thinking that.
Oh,
heist
Yeah,
interesting.
movies,
I didn't know
heist
that.
movies were
a
like
thing.
big.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
were a
yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
That's why I was just like, because I was thinking that I was like, the original Ocean's 11 came out a long time ago with like, who was in it? Frank Sinatra.
1960.
Wasn't like Frank Sinatra in it? The original.
It's a bunch of people affectionately known as the Rat
Mhm.
Pack.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm sure that at that time there was. I mean, it's so super popular. But to see Audrey Hepburn in a heist movie, I never would have thought. I was like, oh, this is cool.
And then I think lastly, before we go, we do our where to find
Yeah.
us. I think we got to update you guys on our
Yes.
schedule for our episodes. So basically, going forward, we're gonna go to an every other week schedule, just to work better with our own personal schedules, and you'll get a double feature every episode. So you're still gonna get 4 movie reviews out of us every month. So we're not going to 2 movies a month. It's going to be 4. So, you know,
Yeah.
don't be upset.
We're going
but
down
also,
to one movie.
Yeah.
So
So our concept of doing like a
Yeah.
two like a double feature movie and then a single feature movie, we're gonna try to shift more into like bi-weekly, a bi-weekly schedule. So we're probably just gonna end up doing like a double feature, just because I think double features are more fun to talk about, and there's more to talk about them anyways. But we still have. I mean, we probably have plans to do like bonus episodes and stuff like that. Because I know there's definitely movies like single movies that we wanted to talk about, like movies just themselves that we wanted to talk about that I think would be really fun to do anyways. But I mean, we'll probably just do this as bonus episodes because bi-weekly it's better for our schedule anyways.
And it's definitely going to free up more time in our schedules to do those special events. Like, we've got things planned for September and October, and I think again December, where it's going to be
Yeah.
every week. So this will give us a chance to have like a breather, definitely in between those periods where we get an episode
Yeah.
every week, and then it's a little bit of a
Yeah.
lull. And yeah, there's just going to be more room for those special events for sure, which I think is definitely something to look forward
which means
to.
everything's going to be higher quality.
Yeah, and it gives us more time to figure out what we're doing because this is like obviously this is just our third episode. This would have been a fourth, but unfortunately we couldn't do the Amelie episode last week because of like technical issues. So we're still we're still figuring things out in terms of like technicality wise, like social, like how the social media and stuff. Just like we're figuring everything out as we go because this is just brand new for all of us. So. But yeah, I hope if anybody's listening this far in, thank you, thank you for
Yeah,
listening
thank you.
and
Yeah,
understanding.
yeah.
So
And I also just want to say an extra special thank you to like my friends and family who have reached out and given us words of praise and stuff. Your input is much appreciated, and I really appreciate that people are tuning in and listening and being really supportive.
yeah, it's really cool. So thank you guys, anybody who's listening to this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, Kaisa, where can we find you?
So on Instagram and on Letterboxd, I am at not Kaisa, and then on Twitter, I'm at Kaisa_Kaisa_.
All right. What about you, Kat?
You can find me on Twitter. You'll get the other stuff through there.
Okay, and it'll pop
You'll
up.
find it. It'll be somewhere.
Yeah, you'll find it. And then mine is Twitter and Letterboxd. You can find me at Megan Cinema, and I am active on both. And then you can find me on Instagram. It's my name at MEGANHIA. So that is where you can find me. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter for our Rotting Eyes accounts. So it's at Rotting Eyes Pod. You just find us on those. And then if you want to just listen to the audio, you can find us on Podbean. So it's rottingeyespod.podbean.com. So you can find us there as well if you just want to listen to the audio.
Yeah, and Podbean does have an app, so you can listen to us on the go and in your car or whatever.
Yeah.
And we're also on YouTube, so subscribe to us there, turn on your notifications.
Yep.
Share us with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And then do we want to say what episode we're doing next week?
Oh, yeah.
So, what is our episode next week?
So I believe we're doing a skate double feature. So
yeah.
So we are doing we are gonna do Skate Kitchen, and we are gonna do Whip It. So it's gonna be a skateboard movie, and then it's gonna be a roller skating movie. So that's gonna be fun. I'm excited for those. I think that'd be a fun thing to talk about. So I hope you guys look forward to that.
So that'll be up 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Or from when you're listening to this.
Yes.
Either 2 weeks or it's already up. It's somewhere in that
You
range.
will.
Yeah.
It will be the
Depending
next,
on when you are listening to this.
It will be the next thing that comes out after this.
It's the
Whenever
next
that
episode.
is. Yeah. So, yep. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Have a good day, guys.
Thanks for tuning in.